You know what's really weird? The fact that most of us walk around with this internal troll whose full-time job is apparently to roast us into oblivion. And it's not even creative about it. It has whatever insecurity you have at the time and just uses it against you. Amplifies it, makes it bigger and bigger and bigger until you explode. Honestly, if a stranger talked to me the way I talk to myself on bad days, I would probably punch him in the face. No, really, the level of disrespect is kind of worth a prison sentence. And yet, we let ourselves get away with it almost every day. We let that voice comment on our appearance, our performance, our worth, our time, and our everything. We let it narrate our entire existence as if it's some sort of an expert, rather than just a deeply unhinged part of our psyche that needs therapy and stuck in the survival mode. And you know what I find the most interesting is that a lot of times we don't even question this voice. We don't stop, look at the troll, and ask, who gave you this job? We just accept that the cruelest thing that comes to mind is probably the truth. So that's what we'll be talking about today. First, why did you become your biggest hater? Why is that internal troll so powerful? And most importantly, how to stop giving it the mic? Because you deserve a better narrator, and your life will become so much better once you um, teach your brain to stop just being your biggest anti-fan. Okay, so why did I pick this topic? A couple days ago, I've made a little mistake at work, and it wasn't even like that big. It wasn't like the project relied on it or my coworkers got affected by it. Nothing like that. I mean, people noticed, but it still wasn't a big deal, and no one like told me off for it or anything. But my brain like instantly picked it up as, oh yeah, that's evidence. You're shit. You're a shit worker. You are always bad. You are always bad at school. You're always bad at work. It's just not for you. Go work as a janitor. No, I hate janitors though. I mean, I would probably not manage, but still. And when this thought popped up, I for some reason managed to notice it. And I realized that I feel so activated, like I'm fighting someone, but I'm not fighting my colleagues, and I'm not fighting my job. I'm just fighting like this programming that's inside of me, and it's I mean, I want to say that it's stupid, but it's not stupid. It's just something that you do, and it's something that I think would be really nice to just get rid of. So let's talk about the psychology behind this thing, because this self-criticism, it's not random. It's patterned, and it's even predictable once you like get a hold of it. And by getting a hold of it, I mean kind of slowing down, being present in the moment, and catching it once you do it, because like in retrospect it works, but it's not as good as when you are able to notice it right away and work with it right away. So the first reason why we do this is that we see our behind the scenes and we see everyone else's like highlights, because as a POV character, like, you move through life noticing every little detail about yourself because you're living your experience. And with other people, you just see whatever they want to put out. And I'm not even talking about like social media. Even in real life, people like they don't tell you everything that's going on in their life, and they basically show you whatever is comfortable to show. And on the other hand, you yourself, you see all of the awkward moments, all the failings, all of the depression, anxiety, or whatever you feel it. And it makes you feel like you have way more of this like shitty part than other people, while in reality, it's kind of all the same for everybody. I mean, more or less. It's just perceived this way because you're always in your own spotlight. The second reason is that our brains are literally designed to notice the flaws, apart from, the positive things. And negativity is not there just to make us miserable as anything else in our psyche. It's a mechanism to protect us. So you really need to be focused on anything that might be dangerous when you live in the wild. And it's a good system. It worked for millions of years. The problem is we're not in the wild anymore, and um, things that are painful to us, things that are scary to us, are very different now. They're like emails, social interactions, deadlines, and stuff. And it's not deadly, but it's really hard to convince your brain that it's not deadly. But still, our brain is wired to notice, a tiger in the bushes. It's really hard to teach it to not react so harshly to everything that brings negative emotions. And the third reason is that we judge ourselves with way more information than when we judge someone else. On one hand, this information makes your judgment more complex, more full, but it also makes you focus on everything that you did or thought wrong, and it makes you feel like you're a bad person because when other people get through a similar situation and you see it, you don't know that they might be going through the same stuff that you did. Because their situation is kind of so flat, and they probably lay it out to you in a way that makes them look a little better, even like subconsciously they do that. It teaches you to empathize with other people, but it's not the same skill as being empathetic towards yourself, if it makes sense. So yeah, like your internal critic becomes way harsher just because it has more things to nitpick about you than it has about other people. The fourth reason, and it's the biggest for me personally, is that most of us are brought up thinking that self criticism is like discipline. Like, if you are harsh to yourself, then you are grown up, you're serious. And if you are kind to yourself, then you're like kind of a pussy. This is what I experienced in my family growing up, and I only recently started to not feel like every time I'm doing something for myself, for my mental health, I'm not being like a pussy. I'm just being a smart human being because the research shows that being easier to yourself is more productive because self criticism often goes too far and it turns itself into shame. And shame is paralyzing because fear creates avoidance. And a lot of people, they freeze because of fear, which is obviously very unproductive. And other people, they start frantically working. And it might seem productive, but it's not sustainable. Every sustainable system within you should be built on a foundation of being content with yourself and being kind to yourself. Otherwise, it will just crumble over time. The fifth reason is also really big for me is that sometimes we kind of pre criticize ourselves as a form of self protection. Because it's like an instinct. If I say that first, then other people can't use it against me. It's like an instinct. Like, if I'm pointing this out, then nobody else can use it against me. So you're kind of doing the 8 Mile thing, but the lame version of it, I'd say. But there's a big problem in that logic, is that you actually set up yourself to be hurt twice. Because it doesn't help that much that you have already told yourself that you are useless when someone else does it. So either you hurt yourself for nothing because no one else used it against you, or they do use it against you and you just get hurt twice. So yeah, this habit that kind of feels protective, it gets corrosive really fast. And the final reason is the spotlight effect. You always feel like you're more important than you actually are. I mean, to other people, of course, every human being is important, but people are always focused on themselves. And it includes you and includes everybody else. So everyone's watching what they're doing. And you worrying about how you look to other people might not be that important because they are not paying attention to you. Nobody's watching. And it's kind of sad, it's kind of lonely, but it also is really liberating because you can really dance as if nobody watches because nobody watches. Now going back to the insights. Here's the thing: you can't bully yourself into being better. As I said before, it's just not gonna last. And you can't pressure yourself into bursts of productivity, but they wouldn't last. And probably after them, you will feel even worse than before because you will feel like, oh yeah, I'm finally getting it. I'm finally doing all that. And then you stop, and then you feel like even more of a failure. So I've been there. Just saying. It's not nice. And another thing that's really important is that that troll is not a villain. He is more of like an outdated narrator who was useful at some point of your life and he stuck around and he picked up some, unpleasant language and now he's using it and you can't get rid of him because he still feels like he's needed. And if you really like listen to it, it's not a mean voice. It's more like a scared voice. It tries to prevent mistakes or embarrassment or disappointment. The problem is that it only knows that many strategies to do that. They probably worked when you were a child because you didn't have that many options. But now you're grown, probably, I don't know how old you are, but you've probably grown and now you've developed better strategies to deal with whatever life throws at you. So the work itself is not about defeating or deleting this voice. It's about teaching it how to become better and become up to date. I really like this idea that there is no such thing as self-sabotage. There's no part of you that hates you. Every part of you tries to do something good, and you just need to work around it because you can break it since it's a part of you. It would be kind of horcrux kind of thing. This is very toxic. Alright, so how do we stop being the main source of our misery? First step is to notice the voice. I already said that. It's basically awareness because this thing happens automatically, and I'm telling you, the moment you start really working on noticing it, it's the moment when it will drop like 80%. And how do you notice it? You build awareness of your emotions. There are some apps that give you little like chimes, notifications, stuff to make you do breathing exercises or fill up like the mood thing, like how do you feel at this particular moment. You might use something like this because you need to notice when you feel bad. And when you feel this way, you need to question, why do you feel bad? Maybe you're just hungry, or maybe someone said something rude to you, like something bad actually happened, and then it's okay to be upset. But if you are sad because of something that you thought, or something that happened like a long time ago, even like a day ago, if it's something minor, then you need to think like, did I do that to myself? And if the answer is yes, then ask yourself, would I said that to a friend? And if not, then, it's probably not something you should say to yourself. Step two is a little bit silly. You need to give your inner critic a name, like the judge or whatever like fits the persona that you feel inside of you. I know that it's a little dramatic, but it helps you kind of separate this part and not feel like it's some sort of a background or something like this. It's part of you and you need to contain it, and giving it a name really helps you contain it. This way, you externalize it and you feel like it's just some sort of a side character with extra screen time. Step three is to replace the punishment that you're doing with something more supportive and more productive. For example, if you think like, oh, I didn't do any work today, I'm so lazy and bad, and I shouldn't be employed, and they should fire me. You need to think, okay, what can I do right now? Can I open one email? I'm giving extreme examples because I've been depressed, and this is more like what depression feels like. If you feel like you can't even open an email, you probably need help more than like a YouTube video. It's an extreme example. It's really applicable here, I think. Another example is when you think, oh, I always mess up after a mistake. You can think, okay, what can I learn from this? How can it be like a positive experience? How can I spin it into being something positive? Honestly, this type of thinking always made me feel like some sort of positivity junkie. But you need to internalize this idea that it's not just to be positive. It's a way for you to stop spiraling on some little mistake. If you were clicking in this video, you probably have this tendency to spiral. And this idea that, "Oh, okay, what can I find positive in this?" It really stops the loop. Step four is you need to gather evidence against the judge or the inner critic. You need to start noticing your achievements. You can even write them down if you want to. If you feel like you don't have any, then create a really simple challenge, like 10 push ups every day or 5 push ups every day, whatever. And then just stick to it. And it should be really simple to you. Like it should be really easy because it's not to really build like a fitness routine, it's to give yourself kind of a confirmation that you are a capable person. And the next time you start criticizing yourself, you'll be like, huh, okay, maybe I messed up this time, but I did that thing, I did that challenge. So I'm not as useless and I can do even more now. And the fifth step, it's kind of hard for me even, but I still think that it might be useful. Is that you need to start treating yourself as someone you're trying to protect. You need to picture your future self as a separate person and realize that you owe to this future person. The things that you do affect this other person. And if you really think about your future self as someone else, then you would feel more responsibility towards him. That's it for today, and please stop being your own biggest hater because the world is, challenging enough already. And since you are the only person who will stick around for your whole life, you need to figure out how to make this relationship thrive. If you like this video, I would really appreciate a like or maybe even a comment. And if you want to like link up a chat or something, you can text me on Insta or whatever I link in the description. Okay, bye bye.